right, good evening. Let's go ahead and call to order the April 13th, 2026 meeting of the West Lafayette School Board of Trustees. The first item on our agenda is an update from Mr. Rogers. So come on down. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Good.
You hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so we'll just dive into it. Maybe, there we go. Our demographics first semester really haven't changed much. I think we went like down or up one student in special ed. I did put on there, we went plus 17 in enrollment, so that's always something that in training that we always pay attention to. So, yeah, we just do get a lot of change in between the semesters. So this one, I wanted to spend a few minutes, if I could. So accountability is new this year. And I've been a middle school, junior high principal, and I've been a high school principal under the letter grade system. And this is widely different, and it's way more similar in junior high and middle school, vastly different in the high school. So basically there's kind of two parts to it, so I try to outline it like this. Every kid gets a score. So think of it like every kid's ranked out of 100, and you just put all your kids together, and that's your grade. Okay? We want those kids 90 or above, right? So the first thing that we do in 7th and 8th grade is the good old I learn, did you pass or not? And if you pass, you go up to the top, and so on and so forth. Then when we get to the 9th through 12th grade, this is where it really starts to become different. For the 9th and 10th, it's like, are you on track? Meaning, are you on track with your credits? And it's 2, 2, 2. So you got to get 2 math, 2 English, 2 science, social studies combined, and then the rest would be electives, okay? So they're basically saying, are you on track to graduate? So that's the, are you doing it right, big grade part of the student's grade. And then when you get to 11 and 12, now we get into diploma types, and those are ranked as well in scoring. So honors enrollment plus, employment plus, so on and so forth. There are 6 seals that are there, and the pluses are the highest ranking. So that is a different way of measuring kids, for sure. And then over on the right, it says additional skills and successive indicators. And I'm not going to get in the weeds of the scoring, but even if you just do those things, the kid isn't scoring an 80 or a 90. It's great that you're doing that, even if you pass I-Learn, but you got to do more. So that's what this next slide gets into. So the next slide says, okay, here are the additional skills and success indicators. And I didn't list them all, but I just wanted to kind of highlight. So if you see 7th and 8th grade, you can see, okay, if you get high school credit, that's kind of like a bonus point, good. Academic progress, if you're 1 year ahead, good. And you see attendance, and I'll hit that in a minute. For 9th and 10th grade, you're on track. What else can you do to get these points? Pass biology ECA. That's never meant anything to us ever, and we've been doing it for eons now. Now, it helps get that, again, bonus point, that success indicator. PSAT, hit those benchmarks, get college and career credit. So that's for that 10th grade band. And then when you get to the 11th and 12th grade, I put some basics in there, SAT, college and career courses, work-based learning, it's in there. Now I say all that, this has changed. I mean, literally, they put it out around in November, December, and then they were going to pass it then. They didn't really pass it until March, and they've changed a couple of things. So all I want to tell you is this. We've been working on it in our school in February, even though they didn't pass the finalized process. Our PD in February, we spent time and actually calculated what our 10th graders would score for us. And I will tell you, for a school that, and I believe in this too, that we believe in what we do and it doesn't always jive with what the state wants to grade us on, they were really receptive. At the end of the day, our teachers are just like our kids and our families in the community. We want to be the best. And so we want to rank the best. And so there's some things that we'll need to dive into to see if we can improve. But that bold attendance, that's in every grade level. And the state expectation is this. You need to attend 94% of the school year. You got to be there. Doesn't matter if it's a doctor's note, doesn't matter if it's a parent calling in, just doesn't matter. So most schools deal with, okay, you can get like 10 absences, parent call in type thing, and unlimited doctors, right? Not the state. So you won't get a bonus point, a success indicator, if your child is below 94%. In other words, that hurts us, okay? That hurts the school. So our current one right now, really, if you look at over time, it's around 70 to 60% of our kids meet that 94% threshold. So what that means is only 60 or 70% of those kids will get that point. That's how this works. So enough of the negative. Let's get some positive pictures. One of our goals was to deal with supporting mental health, and I think I saw a couple board members at this basketball game. It was a mental health awareness night, and both us and Central Catholic, we wore green in support of that. The cheerleaders had green ribbons. We had booths out in front, and this was Mary Russell and Elise Gruss are two of our counselors, along with our mental health counselor. I just forgot her name. Thank you, Allison. They did a fabulous job with this organization and collaborating with Lafayette Central Catholic. So this was just a picture there. I also wanted to put up there and highlight just our counselors in general. I even looked to see if there was one more visit, but 999 students were seen by our 4 counselors, and that's about 5.6 a day, 5.55. Another thing is we try to have fun, and this really works well with me. So you've seen Halloween pictures when we do Halloween, but another thing that we have is an underground theme for the teachers, and then the kids can guess that and earn prizes. And so these are various pictures. Monochromatic day is in the bottom, bring anything but a mug day. Mrs. Helton cracked me up. It was pick your favorite holiday, and hers was Mother's Day. So those are some of the pictures we have. And then highlights. Oh my gosh, what a huge celebration we've had. And I got several slides just with pictures. So our performing arts all did very well. Again, orchestra, choir, band. So I'm trying to get some pictures from ISMA and their contests. If you didn't have a chance to see the musical, you missed out. Cinderella was really amazing. And I heard that it's actually Mrs. Letcher's favorite musical, which is what they chose to do kind of on her way out. So they just did an amazing job. And then we get to some more highlights. So we had 3 of our gymnasts get out of sectionals, and 1 almost qualify for state. She will get that next year. Our robotics continues to thrive and flourish, qualifying, I believe, for nationals, right? Did I get that right? Anybody remember? I'm looking at somebody here. I felt like they did. I may be, did not? Okay, then maybe I'm sorry, I wish I had that off the top of my head. Thank you. Okay, just the one, not the whole. Okay, thank you. And then, again, more pictures. You can see Mrs. Letcher there in the pit, Jazz Fest up at the top, and I just thought that was a really good picture from the musical, so I put that in on a different slide. So our next steps. Tackling the new accountability. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm sure you're aware, we get graded this year. So even though we didn't understand what the rule was going to be, they just kind of passed it and voted on it about less than a month ago. We still get a grade. So, and then this last one I think is really important for all of us. It's balancing that data piece with what we do well, right? So as a teacher, I also could rebuff against you're just giving me too much data, and I want to do what's in my room, and I do it really well, and our teachers do. And we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater on that, but we do need to look at it. There are things that we can use that data to just see maybe why is this trending this way? I'd say a great example for us is we do really well in AP, we do really well in SAT, and that's what this community wants. The state has kind of de-emphasized that a little bit on their accountability grade. We're not going to change that. We're going to do what we do because it's what's best for our kids. So there would be an example where we're not just going to go blindly into just following and chasing a grade. But I was really, really pleased on our PD day how, again, well the teachers received the data that was in front of them and didn't like some of the things that the scores showed. Okay, so it's kind of, all right, what are the rules of the game once the state settled on that? And then how can we help play those rules without losing the essence of what Westside is? And I think, maybe. That's it? Okay, thank you. That's it. So,
Thank
questions,
you.
comments?
Go ahead.
I do have a question for you. All the building-wide grade processes, how much of that are private schools subject to?
Oh, I don't know that they are. I don't know that they are. Honestly, I don't know. And I just try to know what I'm doing.
Thanks.
That's a good question.
It's a good question.
Anybody else before I ask mine? Yue, go ahead.
I just have a general question about the graduation requirement, and I wonder whether, because some parents wondering about it, whether we have some official document about.
We do, Mrs. Sheffield sends out like a bi-weekly email, and in that there will be links. And I will say this, the best thing to do would be get with their counselor. And the fact that they have questions would be probably normal, because right now we have about, depending on what grade they're in, we have like 3 different ways to graduate because the state changes. So I would say, and she'll have like a folder for like the 12th graders or 11th graders or whatever, but I would say get with their school counselor and ask them. They're the ones that are working with their 4-year plan. And again, based off of whether you're a 9th grader or a 10th grader, you may have different requirements. So it's confusing to all of us, to be honest.
I remember at one of the parent council meeting, you mentioned that you will creatively embed some of the requirement in some of the courses we already offer, right? So maybe that, that's also a question for counselors, like.
Okay, so what you're talking about, I think, is, we're trying to be creative, and it's called a non-standard course waiver. So where we might blend 2 classes. I think I brought one last board meeting, right? So we haven't jumped into the deep end on a lot of those. We're trying to figure out what is required of us, how our staffing works with that. We may get more creative, but right now I think we've just presented one, and it was the PE and the yoga, if I remember right. Or yeah, I think it was. Or it was yoga through PE along with then nutrition from our FACS teacher.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, I have a quick question regarding, you mentioned there's so-called new accountabilities, and I understand that's 95% attendance rate, and then you say if we cannot meet that, there will be some, our school get hurt. So I'm trying to understand what other new accountabilities, and also when you say our school will be kind of hurt, what that means. I mean, we lost fund or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So no, we won't lose funding. So I could do an hour presentation on accountability. So I'm not trying to be flippant. It is very, very complicated, and there's a lot there. But we used to have school grades, I want to say about 6-7 years ago. And for a high school, basically what it mostly was what our graduation rate was. That was essentially it. And in middle school, it was essentially how did you do on iLearn, how many passed, and then what was the growth of your students. It's now gotten more complex, and then for a high school, we're going to get a bandwidth. That's why I tried to make that a band for 9th and 10th graders, and this is how they get graded. And then we're going to get a bandwidth for our 11th and 12th graders, and that's how they get graded, okay? And every student, like all 1,129 kids in my building, get a grade. They get a 90, they get an 85, they get 100, 100, 100, and then all of those scores get added up and divided by my total number of kids. And that's how we get the grade. The grade itself, we don't lose funding or anything like that. It's really more of a ranking system, I think, for people that are looking for schools with choice. And then I think it is also a way for us to try to find areas that we can improve and grow if you take it for what it's worth. That help?
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Great.
Really good. It blows my mind that from 2020 to now, we've gone from, stay home if you're sick to you better freaking be there. And no, I know it's not you. And as a family that's dealt with chronic illness and injuries or mental health issues, I had mono in high school and I missed like 3 months. I still got straight A's, but I missed like 3 months because I couldn't stay awake for them. And I'm wondering if it would be helpful to you if we as board members pushed back against our state reps, our state senators, and said, A, grading us on something we were unaware was going to be graded is mean, and B, also, why are you grading us on something over which we have very little control, if not none?
I like where your head's at, and I will work with them, and maybe that is something they would like you to express. I can tell you that we felt, administrators, as we were watching this roll out, we felt the same way. Let me make sure I'm clear. The child and the family have no negative repercussions on it.
Right.
None.
Yeah.
We still follow our normal attendance policy. Like I said, if you get past our building, you get past 10 called in days, no doctor's note, we're gonna start having conversations. We're having doctor's notes, but if you call in with a doctor, you've got mono, then okay, it's not a big deal. We make up work. The state just simply made it very black and white. If you're here, you're not here. That's it. And if you're not here, it counts as a day, and so you have to be there 94% of the time. And they say, I'm not gonna argue with it, they've done the research, they say that once you go below that, your learning will be negatively impacted. That's why they come up with that number.
Your
But,
community is also negatively impacted if everyone gets mono. It's just,
I get it.
yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rachel.
My understanding, because this has been a topic of conversation at ISB, and my understanding of it really is that there's definitely a parallel between schools that are low performing and have very low attendance. And so it's not the outlier, it's not the 2 kids who have really kind of serious health issues or whatever it is. It's a pattern of absenteeism that impacts the school culture overall.
It's
so-
focused on the research as you suggest. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in reading this, I understand that it is really, I don't know that I approve entirely of the math on it, but it's, the concept to me is quite sound in terms of what they're trying to push a little bit, which is, hey, show up at school and you're going to do better.
And
Brandon,
that's
can you
true.
go to the slide, the next one. Maybe to look at it in a different light. So let's say I'm a student and I don't do real well on testing or scores. I don't pass the PSAT. I can attend school every day, and we have those kids, and I can earn that success indicator point. So it is rewarding those that are there. It just is, again, when we look at it in its totality, I just go by the percentages. I know our percentage of PSAT pass. I know our percentage of SAT pass. So that means that percentage won't get that point. Same thing with attendance. I know our percentage there that makes it, and I know how well we do academically, and I think our school would be an outlier as well with that. So
Yeah.
there are pros and cons with it, but that is, I think for us, we need to educate our families on what this means. And the one thing I said to our teachers who have no control over this either is, are there ways we can incentivize attendance and not go punitive? We're not going to do punitive other than what we already have, but can we incentivize it? Don't know what the answer is there. Yeah.
Well, I was going to add in that some of the ways that you incentivize it, you already do. Some of that comes down to the school calendar that allows for effective breaks, so kids can get those breaks and have those mental health rests that they need, and staff as well, for that matter. So showing up every day also is about, for me, managing the calendar well. And I would just say that's a piece of it that you're already doing really beautifully. Thank you.
Well, cogitate on it if you want us to talk to the lawmakers about how this is impacting. It'd be nice to have like a unified message that we could all get behind.
Good idea.
Okay. Go ahead.
Ask a clarification question. So in their counts, do they differentiate whether a student miss one period or miss the whole day?
That's a great question. So, the way we do it, the way we will do it, and we found, this is great that we're learning this because we found an error in the way Skyward communicates with the state. So this gets into like state reporting, you got an expert back there in the back that's helping us. So the way we operate is, we have an internal attendance because we need to track like your first period, second period, we need to do that. But for us, if you are here at all, you're here. And then if you miss all day, you're gone. Because if you look at it that way, I had braces and I'm gone 20 times to the orthodontist, but I only missed like these 3 periods. I should be counted 100% attendance, right? Well, we had it backwards. So we had it the opposite. So if you missed 1 day at all, you missed it. So we caught that in our report, in our state reporting, and we've gotten it fixed. But our state reporting only gets updated once a year, so we'll have to wait until June until that gets fixed. But because of the new guidelines, we were trying to do it correctly and we found an error. So this helped us find that error ahead of time. Good question.
Yeah, I think that's kind of important for parents to know because as a parent myself, sometimes when I use a Skyward, and especially when I do it on the phone, I just didn't choose the time. Just by default, it says all day. So if you have a system to catch the errors like that, or also inform parents, make it precise. If you only miss 1 period, just say so.
That's what our secretary does every day, along with Mrs. Johnson. So they go in and look at when they're marked here, not here, here, not here. So we fix that every day. Like I said, that's our internal one, which is solid. And it's just when our internal one communicates with the state, that's a whole different thing. But our parents are doing a great job. And even if they mess it up, we work with them. The new attendance system within Skyward, between parent and us, fabulous. Doing really good. Good question.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yep.
I like the new Skyward too. It's good stuff.
Good.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Next up, we have Mrs. Quaglio with a special ed update of a similar vein.
Okay, thank you for having me back this month to give a little bit of an update on special education. So not much has changed on this first slide. Again, we continue to have 3 resource room teachers at the elementary school, 1 RBT, and 10 paraprofessionals. At the intermediate school, we have 2 resource room teachers, 1 essential skills teacher, which is a K to 6 program, 1 RBT, 7.5 paraprofessionals, and 2 additional essential skills paraprofessionals. At the junior senior high, we have 4 resource room teachers, an essential skills teacher, 1 RBT, 11 paraprofessionals, and 4 essential skills paraprofessionals. We do continue to have 1 full-time secretary that is shared between my office area and central office. We have a part-time secretary and 1 contracted BCBA. So I wanted to give a little bit of an overview. I believe it was Dr. Papura that asked me this last time, but wanted to share some updated numbers with you all. Currently, we have 249 students in our corporation who have an IEP. We have 189 students who have a 504 plan, and we have 230 students who currently have an MTSS plan. Maybe you might know it as an RTI plan, but those students are receiving some sort of intervention service. It could be reading, it could be math, it could be behavioral, but we have 233. So when we are talking about our students that we serve, we do kind of hit many different plans along the way, and kind of wanted to give you the full update that Dr. Papura asked for in the last board meeting. As far as some updates that we have, as you all are aware, glass is dissolving at the end of this school year. So we have been working to formulate a wonderful department within West Lafayette School Corporation. So at this time, we will continue with our 2 speech language pathologists. I don't know if you remember from earlier, but I helped to hire the 2 that we currently have in our corporation. One is Casey Berkshire, and she's at the elementary school. The other one is Elizabeth Ehrendrake, and she is contracted through Purdue. She brings over clinicians to work with our students. So we are just working on getting a finalized contract with Purdue. Needed to be updated so it didn't say glass anymore. And it has been a wonderful partnership, and we're going to continue that for next year. We did hire one school psychologist, Chris Ham. He's currently our school psychologist that we have overseeing our buildings, but he also was assigned to do other buildings with glass. So this will allow him some opportunity to do some additional things within our corporation that I'm pretty excited about. We have a student and family services specialist, which will be Courtney Murtaugh. She is currently our school counselor at the intermediate school, but she's going to take on this new role, facilitating case conferences, working with our special education teachers, as well as our special education families. But she is going to be an outreach and will bring kind of a plethora of resources to our families. We do continue to have our one full-time secretary, Holly Rankins, that is not going to change for next year. So she works in our department, but she also does some data specialist work as well. And one part-time secretary that is Karen Devine, and she does a lot of back-end work for our teachers. If you have a student, a child who is in the special education world, you know that she might contact you to set up case conferences, reach out to you about different events that have gone on, but she also helps with getting different paperwork to general ed teachers to make sure they're all aware of the special ed students in their classrooms at all times. Continued partnerships. I have continued to work pretty solidly with Lisa Strahanen, sorry, the glass director, who's also the LSC director. And we have formulated quite a great relationship, working together to solve many different problems as they arise. And so we're going to continue to work with her on a couple of areas for next school year. One will be our preschool. It will continue to be at Linwood, which is our special education preschool, just to clarify that. It will still be at Linwood. And so that will continue on into next year. The other thing is our alternative education programs. So we'll continue to work with them for students who might need a different program to help support their needs. Some other things, as we have talked about, we have really tried to make sure that we're getting those in-person related service professionals to our students. It's very important. And there are a couple of different areas where unfortunately, based on our numbers, it would not lead to a full-time job. So for those of you that know, like our occupational therapists, for example, they can make quite a bit of money in the medical field. And so for them to come and work in our building on kind of a part-time basis is really hard for them. They'd be giving up benefits, different things. And so I have been working with Lisa on developing a contract so we can get these positions so they'll be in full-time, and we will contract with Lafayette School Corporation to make them more enticing to people. So I'll continue to have a voice in those, who they are and who will be in our schools, continue to ensure that we have consistent people. One of the things that Lisa and I worked hard on this year was having those consistencies between the 3 buildings of the same personnel, so we don't have people in and out. So you'll notice there are a few different positions there that we'll be working with them on. Last is the Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired. They'll be our teacher of records for our blind and low vision students. The reason for that is they have an amazing amount of resources that I did not want to let go of. And so I was given an opportunity to partnership with actually Tippecanoe School Corporation on blind, low vision and hiring a teacher of record. But I personally felt like the resources that I get from the Indiana School of the Blind would be too much to pass. So we will continue to work with them as well for those students. As far as some highlights, we have almost survived a whole year with special programs, and I'm going to say survive. So it has been quite the new IEP system. So the teacher of records have done an amazing job of being very, very flexible. They've spent a lot of time learning the new program. It's really great. Every once in a while, probably about monthly, they do an update, and then we have to figure out why there's errors and relearn some things. So I've been sending those emails out to teachers to make sure that they are updated, but they really have been troopers this year. The amount of time that they have spent in this new program has been countless, if I can be honest. The other thing that I'll say is our parents have been extremely graceful and understanding of the new program. We've had to unfinalize and refinalize things. We've had to send things back for signature just because the system was doing some different things and wonky things, and our parents have been so incredibly graceful and understanding of that. So I can't thank everyone enough for their patience during this transition time. The collaboration, again, I'm going to go back to that collaboration with Purdue and our SLPs has been phenomenal. They have ran some wonderful programs within our schools, and I am looking forward to that continuing into next year. We also this year launched our structured learning program at the elementary schools. So with the leadership of Sarah Delaney and Rhonda Laney and Diana Van Dyke as our special education teacher who oversee it, we have formulated this new program, and it has been pretty phenomenal. They've had family nights and shared community resources, but I can honestly say it would not have been this successful without them. So it has been a wonderful addition to the elementary school to have there, and continuing it on into next year. One of the things that I want to give a big kudos to is these students started out very self-contained in one classroom. A lot of them are on the spectrum that are in the classroom. They needed to kind of learn the routines. And at this point, last time I checked, we had all but 2 students who were going out into the general education for at least half of their day. And that has been a pretty, to see phenomenal growth, to see where we started, and to see the growth that they've made has been pretty amazing. And so shout out to them for that program and all that they've done to make it successful. Lastly, Milo the robot, well, he's still around. The kids still love him. We still have to lock him up occasionally in his case because the students enjoy him a little bit too much. But he's currently at the elementary school and the intermediate school. Again, it does the social skills, but this year we also added a phonics portion to that. And it's been pretty great. We've not only had it in one classroom at the elementary school, but we've had the phonics portion out into our regular special ed classrooms as well as some of our kindergarten classrooms, and it has been pretty neat to see it get up and going. And so we're hoping we'll get to continue this program. I'm going to apply for the grant again to continue, and here's hoping that we can continue that because the kids definitely are enjoying it. A little bit of a goal update I did share actually most of it with you as far as the special education department. We hired and started actually training the student and family services specialist. I continue to have monthly collaborative meetings with special education teachers and administrators to discuss their needs or concerns. We're already looking for ways to incorporate our school psychologists into our MTSS more. He will have more time this next school year, and so we're excited to find a way to get him more involved in that. We continue to finalize kind of our own processes and procedures just to make sure that we are abiding by Article 7 and meeting all those deadlines. Anyone who knows Article 7 love the deadlines, so want to make sure that we have all of those in place. And last but not least, hiring 2 special education teachers at the elementary school and intermediate school. I will say that I've been a part of that process, and they've had some really good candidates, so I'm looking forward to you all hearing about them in the future. Goal 2, kind of look at improving that communication with our special education parents. I've been emailing information to parents just about community events, available summer programs, transition night flyers. Those of you that may or may not know, I think I saw a couple of names on there, but I did a lunch and learn just to share some information about GLASS and just who we've hired and what that will look like. For those that couldn't attend, I sent that out to all of our special education families, the presentation and the video. And we had well over 40 families that attended, so it was a pretty good turnout for a little lunch and learn, so I was quite pleased with that. Next on the list is working on getting our website updated. So we currently have one, and it introduces me, but I'd like to have the other people that we're hiring for next year all be on there so parents know exactly who their contact is, who our school psychologist is, and our speech language pathologist, our occupational therapist, to get all that information on there. Maybe even some pictures so they know what they look like before they walk into a meeting with them. So, and then also continue to put on there some programs and resources available to families. As far as some spotlight information, I worked with GLASS and the Indiana School for the Blind, as well as the Indiana Blind Children's Foundation, to host a community event. It was a local event, so we had families from Tippecanoe School Corporation, Lafayette School Corporation, and West Lafayette, and the presenter was John Bramblett. He was is, I don't want to say was, sorry, is an artist who is blind. He started out his life with a vision and lost it when he was in college. I really can't imagine that, but he wanted to be an architect, but then with kind of how things all with his illness and then losing sight, he went into painting. And I can honestly say his paintings blew me away. First of all, I have no ability to draw or paint or any of that, but to see what he could do was just phenomenal. And so he did different activities with our families and the kids that were there. He was guessing what they were drawing. I mean, it just was unbelievable, and I felt like it was a really good night to have everybody out there. We will continue to collaborate with GLASS as we work towards a dissolution, so we are still working on a few things, and we'll talk a little bit about those. We have some upcoming transition nights. So this year I worked with Sarah Delaney to get a preschooler transition night to get those little special education preschoolers into our building. The more we can get them comfortable. So there was a flyer sent out to those families. We have a third grade to Willis that I work with Margaret Pissarros on to get those kiddos and their families used to the intermediate school. And then we have sixth graders to the junior senior high that I work with Chad Rogers and Shelby Johnson to do right before school starts. Reason for that is they'll have their schedule done so they can learn their schedule and learn a little bit about the building. So as far as our next steps, of course, finalize all the hiring for the special education positions. We do still have a lot of GLASS equipment and assets that need to be divided. So we have met 3 times already and have at least 2 more dates on the calendar to work through that. And then again, the continued communication with special education families, updating them along the summer as things kind of hopefully get all ironed out, and then we'll be ready for August.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Thanks for being here. I have a couple questions. I noticed on the IEP slide that the elementary school is quite high by comparison to the intermediate. Is that a true increase, or that are kids kind of graduating off their IEP by the time they get to fourth, fifth grade?
So what you will see is, well, not many people are graduating in some sense, but graduating in another. So at the elementary level, there are a lot of speech and language kids. Speech, especially with COVID, put a lot of delays in language. And so that is honestly, truly, like, that is a big bulk of numbers. Of the reason that is this year, I believe it was a little over 70, and it keeps growing, kids that are in our speech language program.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, well done then, getting the partnership with Purdue to make
Yes.
that possible. So is the enrollment in the essential skills classroom staying pretty steady, or are you seeing any change there? It's pretty much.
It's staying pretty steady. The junior senior high is growing a little bit, I would say, compared when I look back at like the data from when Shelby was in my role. So, you know, we did have discussions about, for those of you that don't know, those kids can go to school until they're 22. And so sometimes on the junior senior high, it could be a long time there. And so we have had discussions about should kids really transition to the junior senior high, or could they benefit from another year at the intermediate school just to kind of balance things out. To be honest, one kid we said they need to go, another student we said they should probably stay another year at the intermediate school. So we are looking at those things just to help. But, you know, our numbers, I feel like, are continuing.
To rise, right. Yeah, that was kind of my question. I know at some point we had talked about off in the future when you moved the program from the elementary building up, that there might come a day where we needed 3, we needed 1 in each building. And so I was just curious if you're approaching that yet, or if you still feel the bulk up is up here at the higher grades. Okay. One last question. I'm curious how many special ed students you send to the separate preschool. What's your enrollment look like there?
I want to say the last I looked, so I apologize, I don't have that number right in front of me. We were looking at about 24. Well, I don't actually have the number. So we are servicing 24, but we have some students that are in our preschool age that do walk-in services with our SLP at the elementary school. So it would be under 20.
So my question is if at some point it makes sense to consider that classroom stay. I mean, that number's fairly high, and I'm going to guess a lot of those kids are speech and language at that point. Does it make sense to have a preschool? Back in the day, it's been a few years, but you know, there used to be the combined preschool so that those students with speech and language delay had mentor students. And so I'm just wondering, with our pre-K as it is there any benefit potentially to bringing that in-house financially and academically?
Well, I haven't looked at it from a financial perspective, if I'm being honest with you. The mentorship is huge for those students. I have started some conversations with Dr. Brenner and Mrs. Roth just about the preschool and you know, looking into what we could possibly do for the future, if I'm being honest. But for right now, it made the most financial and logical sense to kind of keep things how they were. But it is something that we continue to have dialogue about.
Yeah, I wonder about it as well in terms of that transportation for parents. And, you know, just all of that, if they're able to stay in-house and if we're able to, those kids are more familiar with their schools, it's more comfortable. There's just a lot of different pros there. I would be interested in hearing the financial impact of that as well when we get to that point, perhaps.
I do want you to know that our preschool students are transported to Lynn.
We take them from here. Oh, I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
we take them from their house. house.
Okay,
Yeah, we provide transportation to and from preschool.
thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we also sometimes pick kids up from not their home. And so we have picked kids up from, like Purdue, the STEAM Academy.
Okay.
They're one of our students, so we do transport our preschool students to Linwood.
Thank you.
Go ahead. George.
I am unfamiliar with this preschool program that you've got, you were just talking about with Rachel. At that age, how are you identifying the kids that need services?
So they go through an evaluation
Evaluation.
process. Yeah.
They do that here?
No, we do it at Linwood.
Okay.
Yes, so there's a whole system that they have to get the families in. Some of them are referred to as from First Steps. Some of them parents reach out to us about, meaning they call Glass, Linwood, some of them contact me. So hopefully we can get them all to contact me in the future, since there won't be so many hands in the pot, I guess you could say. But they go through the evaluation process, and then we determine if they are eligible or not eligible. If they are a speech and language student only, then we also do some evaluating at the elementary school. But if we're looking at things outside of that, then we typically do it at Linwood.
Everybody good? Oh, David, go ahead.
Thank you for sharing all of this. I think it's really helpful for us to know that it's not just 11-ish% of kids who are being serviced through your department, but it's really about 30%, which is a tremendous number of students. Do you feel like with all of the hires that you're making and the transition that you'll be adequately staffed to really meet our needs, or are there other resources that you think would be beneficial to really be able to meet the needs of our students?
I am still working with Dr. Greiner and Mrs. Roth about positions and, kind of exploring different options. I will say that our partnership together has been wonderful. I think as in everything, you show the data and make decisions based on the needs of our students. I feel like we're continuing to work through those. But I will say that I did just go to them because of our continuing numbers at the elementary school in the speech department. And so we are looking at, adding an SLPA, just because the paperwork and servicing kids. So those conversations are still happening, based on just the different needs and as it comes about, so.
And I'll compliment Mrs. Quaglio. She works really hard to provide data-informed information or data-driven decisions or suggestions to us. She works closely with the principals, and then she meets with Mrs. Roth and me, and we look at the data, we understand the needs, and we make decisions that we feel very comfortable with because of her data-informed approach. I know you as a board would appreciate that.
Yeah, Rachel, go ahead.
I had one follow-up. I know that paras are really essential in those classrooms to student success. Do you feel that our paras are competitive, their wages are competitive in this area?
I would say yes, that they are, especially since we currently offer them insurance. I know that has been I've heard a number of paras are very excited because most corporations do not. I know TSC doesn't and LSC don't offer the benefits. For our paras, that's the one thing that I've heard. So when you add that in, most of them are pretty pleased with that.
That's really helpful to know as we come into insurance renewal.
All right, super. I think that's everybody. Thank you so much for all of your, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you at all.
Yeah, I still have some question. So back to the paraprofessionals, I noticed, if I remember that correctly, last couple of years, we have 40-something paraprofessionals. Right now, we have something like 35 totally. So you think they can handle the workload with this kind of number? The paraprofessionals?
Yes.
Another question I have is regarding, when I look at these tables, so my understanding, when you say special education, I'm thinking about IEPs and also 504s, but now we have MTSS. So basically, this will be another kind of area or effort we are going to parallel things we are going to work on that. Or this just kind of I mean early intervene proactively we identify people students and maybe later refer them to special education. Now, what is the, I mean, my question, what is the purpose of this MTSS support this system? And I noticed there, I mean, elementary school is pretty a high number, and then on the intermediate and the high school, is that they graduate, when they grow, they from tier 2 to tier 1, and then eventually they go out or refer to, I mean, how that works, if you can give me more information.
MTSS plans are a multi-tiered support system that we have in place for our students who are struggling. So at the elementary school, we have four interventionists that work with students in providing them reading, math, or, well, if you even count in our behavioral, it's more than that. That work with our students, and the plans are in place to watch them grow, and whether that's they're working on reading or on math, they're tracking it, they have a goal academically or behaviorally that they are working towards, and we are tracking that information. So they are kids that we are worried about academically or behaviorally, whether they are not meeting maybe the DIBELS assessment, they're showing below, or M class for math, or we have, you know, just several different assessments that they use because, you know, they might have an off day. But we're using several different data points to determine those kids who are going to struggle or might struggle in the past, and we're providing them that early intervention, because you will see if you look up research that the earlier the better that you can provide the intervention for them. So yes, there are going to be more at the elementary school. Then you add in the iRead, and anyone who doesn't pass iRead, they have to also receive reading services. They also have to have a reading goal, and that continues on if they don't pass and they go to the intermediate school, or we have someone move in who, because we have those, but they also could receive reading or math. But again, it's all data driven, and it is based on the fact that they have data that supports that they are struggling academically or behaviorally. I would like to give a shout out that I have never worked with such amazing interventionists. Whether it is at any of the buildings, they do a phenomenal job. They hone in on the skill deficits and work really hard to get them back up into, you know, into the regular
Right track.
classroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
I will say there are some instances where we, you know, find they're not making progress and they need more. And then that is when we get the special education team involved to do evaluations to see, is there something that we're missing? Do they need a different specialized instruction? So it is interesting, but at the elementary school, you're always going to have those big numbers, just because they are so little, and they're coming to us, and some of them haven't had much experience in school.
Okay, thank you. Another question I have, I understand that really for the last years, you transitions from class to our, I mean, kind of in-house special education. I really appreciate your leadership and also your whole team work a lot of things. So I'm just wondering, during this period last year, did you see anything or any student, any service kind of at risk, or any student at risk, basically when during the transition we cannot provide, or in near future or something, you think maybe we need a kind of resource to provide the surveys and also support student, that kind of thing? Do you see any?
I do not at this time.
Okay.
Everything that we are currently doing, we're going to be able to do.
To handle that.
A lot of it will look a little different, some of it won't. But I don't foresee any issues with that at this time.
Okay, that's great. And the last question, hopefully, I mean, this is the last question. I see you have, we have new hirings and also new department. And I think probably, my understanding, you guys still working on the financial things. So that's my, I really want to know in the futures, at least we get some kind of roughly how much budget we for this kind of whole department, basically special education, how much we want to pay that. The partnership, that's great, but we also hire some specialists, and there will be contract, there will be cost, new persons. So I really, also the caseload per student. Yeah, that I see Mr. Roger regarding the counselors, 5.55 per day, something like that. I want to see the caseload. So how many? Yeah, because yeah, I want to make sure we can handle that, and also, yeah, the Article 7 compliance, that kind of thing. I understand you guys working on that, but just that's kind of.
Right, yeah, so currently right now, special education teachers all have between 20 and 25 students in their caseload. With
Okay.
the exception of our essential skills, because that program is pretty specialized, so our essential skills programs are, can vary between, most of them, you're looking at between service plans and IEPs, because we do have some service plans for ABA centers. You're looking at between 8 and 12 typically for those classrooms. And then the other one was when we developed the structured learning program at the elementary school. That caseload has been between 10 and 12 because there's a high need there. So those programs that have the high need students, caseloads might be a little lower because they're putting in a lot more for the IEPs, and their work probably load is going to look a little different than a resource room teacher.
So from your point of view, you think we can, the teacher can handle that kind of workload comfortably, is okay? Okay, okay, thank you. I think that's all my question. Really appreciate that you stay here and also share this information with us, and also the last year. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Rachel.
I'm so sorry. As this conversation has gone on, I just have more questions. Are you sending medically complex students out? Do we have any? Are you keeping them in the essential skills classrooms?
Yes,
Okay, thanks.
I think we're good.
I'm going to run.
Run, yeah. These are, thank you.
all so much.
These are really valuable to us. Since we're not in the building, we don't know what's going on. So we really appreciate all the information and answering the questions. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is communication from the audience. We had one gentleman sign up, Mr. Anderson. Welcome. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, good evening. It's good to hear. So I'm Jason Anderson. I'm here as a private citizen and not as representative of any organization I may be involved with or office I hold. But we need to find another way. The citizens and the property owners of West Lafayette School Corporation are tired of referendums and continued increases to our property taxes. The school board needs to work with the Economic Development Office, the City Council, and the Mayor's Office to abolish tax abatements and to ensure the multi-million and multi-billion-dollar companies coming in the area to get their fair share. So if you don't believe this can happen, let's take a look. LaPorte, Indiana, March 3rd, 2026. In partnership with the LaPorte Community School Corporation, the city of LaPorte today shared that they have approved an updated tax agreement for Microsoft's data center project in LaPorte, according to Mayor Tom Dermody. This comes after Microsoft President and Vice Chair Brad Smith announced in January that the global tech company will no longer seek local property tax abatements or breaks from its new data center projects, despite the completion and approval of the previous agreement. Microsoft has worked with city officials in recent weeks to create a solution that ensures Microsoft pays its fair and full share of local property taxes, adding revenue to the city and setting aside funding to the school corporation. The previous agreement exempted Microsoft on personal property taxes, included a property in lieu of taxes pilot of up to $100 million to the Redevelopment Commission of LaPorte Community School Corporation over a 40-year term. Under the new agreement, Microsoft will pay the property tax in full, with the City of LaPorte Redevelopment Commission now allowing 15% of this revenue to the LaPorte Community School Corporation for a period of 20 years. In an unprecedented move, Dermody said this partnership presents a historic revenue stream that will benefit local students, for generations. The Board Community School Corporation Superintendent, Dr. Sandra Wood, said this caliber of support will be transformational for the district. This is the defining moment for our school district, Wood said. What the city of LaPorte and Microsoft had made possible will give students of LaPorte an unmatched advantage. An opportunity of this magnitude doesn't just open doors for this generation, it builds them for every generation that follows. Thank you.
Thank you. We don't normally respond, but I'd like to let you know that I have seen that information as well, and we've had some conversations with the folks you mentioned, so that is also on our radar, and I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion? Motion? Okay, seconded by Rachel. Oh, I didn't start the buttons, you guys. There we go. That passes 7-0. There is no unfinished business, so the next item would be the Morris Leatherman Company Survey Agreement, and that's to you, Dr. Garner.
Thank you, Mrs. Austin. This evening, I'm bringing forward the proposed agreement with the Morris Leatherman Company to conduct a community survey of approximately 400 West Lafayette residents. As shared in the agenda materials, this is the same firm we utilized during our previous referendum process and comes highly recommended based on their reliability and quality of their work. While the board approval is not required, this item has been placed on the agenda for transparency and to ensure full board awareness following discussion at our last board meeting. At this time, I'm recommending the board vote to approve the agreement so that we can move forward with gathering valuable community feedback to support future planning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion, please. David?
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate Dr. Garner put it on the agenda for vote and then also answering the questions I had earlier. Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure, Dr. Yen.
Okay. David?
My read of the agreement is that this is to get a representative sample of the community, not sampling of registered or likely voters. It's intended to actually represent the broader community regardless of whether or not they're registered or would vote. Is that correct?
You are correct.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, super. I'll go ahead and start the vote. There we go. That passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is number 8, the summer roofing project. And Mrs. Roth?
Yes, as shared in the memo, the board is asked to reject all bids due to irregularities identified in the process by Fanning Howie. The bidding process will reoccur in April with a recommendation to be brought to the board in May so that work may start in the summer as originally planned. You were asked to please approve the recommendation to reject the bids and to rebid the project.
Okay.
Make a motion that we reject all bids on the summer roofing project.
Excellent. Seconded by George. Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Oh, go ahead, Lawrence.
Yes, quick clarification question. So we are going to redo these things in terms of timelines. You think how many months will be delayed to start this project? Thank you.
We are currently projected to stay on time. With the new timeline to rebid in April, we will be bringing a final bid recommendation to the May meeting so that we can stay on the projected timeline.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, do you expect a lot of the same or all the same companies to rebid?
And we really have no way of knowing, and the architect did not speculate one way or the other.
Okay. Great. I'll hit the start button. So it's the motion to reject all the bids, and that passes 7-0, so we'll have a do-over. All right. Next item on the agenda is policies, and so I'm going to turn it over to you, Rachel.
Okay. So we had the last batch of policies that came to policy committee. It was pretty exciting. We met on April the 6th. I know that board members are interested and our community are interested in conversation about policy connected to part-time enrollment. Dr. Greiner is going to, we have no recommendation on that tonight. Dr. Greiner is going to report on that when he gives his report to the board tonight, so we can kind of take that to the next step. Up next is policy B100. It is about the board authority and philosophy. So this policy was approved by the board in our September 2025 meeting. Legal just returned that to us with edits. And all that they did was add 2 references to board policy D150 in paragraph 6 and 7. When that went out, we had a board member respond with some blue language. That has been sent to legal for review. All of that's in your packet. The policy committee did not, among the 3 of us, agree on the necessity of adding this language. And so we have recommended that that come back to the board for some conversation before we have a vote. So if you take a look at what that recommended language is, really they're philosophical. One of them is to add a statement about the board exercises its authority only when acting as a legally convened body. Individual board members have no authority to act on behalf of the board except as expressly authorized by board action. And then below that, in collaboration with the superintendent and in compliance with board policy D50, the board shall, and we changed that language, exercise governance oversight of all corporation programs and operations and delegate administrative authority for day-to-day operations to the superintendent. And then there's a strikeout on an Indiana code on the back page of that. So really from a conceptual, we're talking about a philosophical statement that we're adding to paragraph 4. And then moving on with a recommendation of a change in language in terms of delegation of authority to the superintendent. So I would recommend we look first at paragraph 4 and hear from board members on that and vote on it, and then go down to the paragraph 6 and
Okay.
do it separately.
Oops. Is there a motion on paragraph 4?
I will make a motion that the board move to approve the language on paragraph 4 without the blue recommended language.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Any discussion?
What if I think it should be kept? So
Okay.
that'll be,
Go ahead and share your thoughts on that, I guess, and we'll,
yeah, I think it's a good clarification. It was not me who proposed this. I don't even know who proposed it, but I think it's a good idea to have it. And
excuse me.
and so I remember once, and I received emails and as a parent and from one of the board members send an email to the whole system, and I got that email as a parent, but I didn't got that email as a board member. So I was surprised and confused. So I feel things like that shouldn't happen, and having this policy will stop things like that from happening.
So do you have a motion?
I move to keep that blue wording there.
Okay, is there a second? Lawrence seconds it. Okay, now we're talking about whether to keep the blue language. Does anyone else have anything to share about it? George?
The language that's being suggested for paragraph 4, is this roughly the same as what was proposed the first time?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And legal has rejected that language?
No, we can
No.
add it.
Okay,
It's just, it's a style choice.
Okay,
And we did have this previously recommended by a board member. It was not passed by this board, and now it has come with when legal sent it back to us,
I see.
citing that policy, other policy, then that language was suggested again.
Okay, so if it didn't turn on, yeah,
Yeah, I just, I think this sentence will help us clarify our school board's kind of how we run the business. I think it will be beneficial. But at the same time, I think this idea, the philosophy things is covered by some other policies. So I think it's good. I prefer to have that, but if it's not in there, I mean, I think it's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Anyone else have anything? Rachel?
It is covered in the board, the first section of our
Authority.
policies, the board authority. So this would be a clarification. My concern is that there are certain situations where board officers do need to take some variety of action, and this could create some constraint on that. And so an example, the board chair signs all of the teacher contracts. The board chair signs graduation diplomas. We shouldn't need to bring it to a vote of the board to authorize the president of the board to sign the diplomas. So there's that kind of stuff where it just creates a level of tedious action that is not necessary.
Okay. UA?
My understanding is the board voted on that contract before the president signed it. So that's still what we did. I mean, that what the blue word says,
Yeah, you're correct.
right? So
The difference is that the board would then, in addition to voting to approve the contract, also need to vote to direct the board chair to sign them. And that to me seems unnecessary.
Or the diplomas.
Or the diploma is another example. We don't vote on whether or not students should graduate.
I think that, I mean, I think these are personal opinions. I think without legal counsel directing that that's going to be the change, I don't view this statement requiring those levels. So I think there is different philosophies, but I think without having legal counsel direct what behaviors we would have to change, it's hard. I don't think that we should be saying that we're now going to have to change these behaviors unless legal counsel has told us we have to.
Okay. Are we ready to go ahead and vote then? Okay, sounds good.
we are voting, to be clear on that.
We are voting to keep the blue wording. So a vote to yes would be to keep the blue wording, and a vote no would be to can the blue wording in paragraph 4. Okay. Correct. That's the sub-motion. Right. Correct. So we've moved back to that after we've dealt with Dr. Yin's. Correct. Okay, so a vote yes is to keep the blue wording, and a vote no is to not keep the blue wording. Okay, that one does not pass, and so we are not keeping the blue wording. That's 3 to 4. Okay, and so now we'll move back, as you said, to the previous motion. So many.
Amy, we actually don't need the previous
We don't
motion.
need to, because we already did it, so we're moving on.
Because if we don't have to vote to accept nothing.
We need to approve the whole thing, though.
There's
And
there's
we've
still
got to move
paragraph
down
six.
to 5, 6, 7. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're okay. There's two versions of that paragraph. So
I
if you
see.
look at the draft, it's, both of them start with in collaboration. One of them is in red, and the other one, there was blue language recommended. So the first one is how it reads now with the legal change. The next one down, a board member recommended what is struck out, and the policy committee did agree on this one.
Okay.
On changing it to that bold line in blue underneath it.
So the policy committee is recommending version B of paragraph
This.
6.
No,
6.
I think we.
That's board member recommendation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I spoke incorrectly. It's a good thing David comes to these meetings too.
It is. It's a
okay.
Team sport.
Well, it is a team sport. Policy always is. Okay, so let me rephrase that. The first paragraph ends with the word premises.
Yes.
Okay, the board member recommended text is below that, where they've struck out what the policy currently reads and added alternative language. So I am going to make a motion that we approve the sentence, or the paragraph 6, that begins with in collaboration with the superintendent in compliance with board policy D150. The board shall monitor and regulate all programs and operations in the corporation and the employees, students, and other patrons on its premises,
Okay.
period. That is what I'm motioning that we approve.
Okay. And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there discussion? Or another motion? George?
Yeah, just to, if we're talking about differences in philosophy, the addition of the exercise governance oversight of all corporation programs and operations and delegate administrative authority for day-to-day operations to the superintendent, is that not already covered in other policy, or just also just the way the state data of Indiana recognizes how boards function?
It is my opinion that it is not necessary text. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's covered in this policy B1, I mean, kind of in 150. So I think, yeah, it's, I mean, it's kind of,
Microphone. Okay.
yeah,
Your
I think
opinion.
after I look, review details, study of D150, I think the legal recommendation here refer D150 is have these things included in there already, I think, covered already. So, thank you.
Okay, sounds like we're ready to vote on version 1 of paragraph 6. Okay, here we go. Great. Cool. Let me, buttons. There we go. Okay. So then we need to pass it in its entirety. Could I have a motion for that, David?
That's just the
A
strike.
motion to pass in its entirety, including the red line on the code at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And is there any further discussion on that? UA?
I just want to clarify that, so now we don't have the blue words for the paragraph 4. And then I wonder in the future, can we say, if any board members, including the officers, want to send an email to the whole system or add a session on our school site website, that action need approval from the whole board member rather than just the individual or just the officer's decision. Can we say that? Because I want to make sure.
Are you making a motion?
No, I'm asking for a clarification because you said that blue thing is covered elsewhere. And I want to make sure that those abnormal things won't happen in the future because surely I was confused when I see those emails sent from the board and I'll see a section on our district website saying, okay, this is a board Q&A, even though I had no idea about that Q&A before. I just saw it.
Rachel, would you like to?
Yeah, I want to point specifically to the policy that we have in place, basic commitments. So it's section A, and it's A350, civility and decorum. That is really the one that addresses how a board will communicate and how they'll collaborate. And I think it's pretty comprehensive. So I don't know if it's worth maybe Dr. Yin going back and looking at that one and then bringing this back up again if you feel like there's some issue. I feel like the things that you're referring to are several years past and we like to believe our board can grow and develop. And I don't know that that would be something we would need to put into policy. But I understand that your historic concern, but I do think that the civility and decorum policy that we have in place addresses this.
Would you like to?
Sure, if with what we have now, things like what I mentioned won't happen again, I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure what the blue words says, and it's already covered. And so.
I think the recommendation is that you review policy A350, and if you don't feel like that policy currently covers that sort of action, then that would be an issue to re-raise under a different policy. But in this particular policy, I don't believe that the policy committee feels that B100 is the place for that statement? Because it's covered in was it 350?
Yeah, and so A350, and I'd also refer you to B100. I would look at those two, and then if you, and also I guess I would tell you to go to B250. So if you looked at those kind of three policies together and you didn't feel it was covered, then I think the appropriate course of action would be to ask the board chair to refer your concern to the policy committee to see if any language needs to be beefed up anywhere.
Is that acceptable?
Yes, more importantly, I think, so even if we don't put the blue words here, we as a board believe this is what we should do, right? So there's no issue about that. Means the board, the individual board members need to act on things that everybody agree on.
Yeah, I think it's helpful perhaps to say in B250, the last of the three policies that I recommended to you, the specific language in there is a board member should demonstrate respectful relationships with other members of the board. And there are a series of points, but the first point is by recognizing that authority rests only with the board in official meetings, an individual member has no legal status to bind the board outside of such meetings. There's a whole series of things that go on there in terms of dealing with communication. It does not specifically address the sending of an email on behalf of the board, but I think I would just, if you don't mind, if you would look at those three, I think, and see if they fill your need. That would be what I would say.
I think that's reasonable. Okay, so is there a motion or is there not a motion? Yue.
Oh,
I don't want to waste more time here, so I'm okay with it right now. But I just, as I said earlier, I only want to get agreement from everybody that this is what we will follow. And so can I assume that's our agreement? So if, let's say, anyone wants to send an email to the whole district, and that email need to be approved by all the board members rather.
Are all emails that are being sent to
No.
the district being
From the
approved?
board. So on behalf of the board, send an email. We are on the board around the exact same time. You probably you experienced the
remember.
same thing. So you don't remember.
Oh, no, I do.
Oh, okay. So
I'm
yeah,
just
that's what I mean.
saying that-
If anyone sent an email saying this is on behalf of the whole board, I want to make sure that all the board members see that email before the email was sent.
I understand, and the language you proposed has been voted on, and I think we need to move on to voting on the whole policy now. And if you want to raise the issue in the future, if you'd email me and ask for it to be put on the agenda, we'll discuss that at that time. Is that suitable?
Yeah. But
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and start the vote. This is to approve the B100 as presented and voted upon in its entirety. Great, cool. All right, let's move on to F125, please.
well, so F125, we're actually, I want to back up just slightly. Nope, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. F125, purchasing procedures and capital assets. The board recommends this policy be adopted as proposed. And the version of it was, there's a note from legal at the beginning, but I would like to make a motion that we approve F125 as presented.
Second.
Great, let me write that down. Rachel and Lawrence, okay. Is there any discussion on that? No? Great, cool. I will hit the buttons. Okay, that one passes 7-0. Moving right along.
Okay, up next is G350. We had a couple of options on this particular policy. We sent this one to legal. Both versions of it are compliant per legal review. The policy committee recommends adding the ICE, the Indiana Code citation at the end. And I'm going to guess there's no dispute with that. And the other section, meeting with parents and guardians, all three options presented are appropriate, but we understand the conversation is really about having the parent and family-friendly language. The policy committee is fine with the blue or green text. However, if we go ahead with the blue text, it is our recommendation that the 24-hour or day prior request needs to be added. And so that's really, I think, the difference between what a board member has recommended and what the policy committee has recommended is that when a parent wants to record, we would put in our policy that we request, not require, but we request day prior or 24-hour advance notice so that we can be prepared to do that.
When you say day prior, do you mean calendar day prior or school day prior?
Probably school day prior would be ideal, since we don't want our administrators working on the weekends, though I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
But,
okay.
yeah.
All right. So the recommendation then is the G350 as presented with the green language right now? Is that correct? But except for the, with the green language, except for the addendum underneath the blue.
That's correct.
Okay. No? I'm getting eyebrows.
No, sorry, okay.
Okay.
David's got eyebrows going to me. All right.
Yes, so many eyebrows. Okay. So the motion is as presented with the blue text except for the, or I'm sorry, with green text except for the green under the blue. Oh my goodness. Okay, is there a second? Thank you, Lawrence. Okay, is there any discussion on that one? Yue, go ahead.
So I think I probably mentioned this before, and Indiana has a one-party consent law, right? So that means if somebody wants to record it, they can do it regardless. So so I wonder, what if people record it without even asking for permission?
Okay, Rachel?
They can do that. They can come in and record it and do that. It's not setting a really great relationship base with the school staff, but a parent could come in and record a meeting. That's why the language is specifically that it is a request, because it's just a way to kind of tell a parent as they're reading this, hey, it would be awfully nice if we communicated in advance so the school's prepared and we're prepared. So it's just, it's a family-friendly language, and it's to help families know, hey, we're really open to this if you want to do it, so they don't feel they need to bring a phone in and sneak a recording because their recording it isn't acceptable. Sneakiness is not need to be in policy, but
Yeah,
collaboration should be.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to see whether there's a loophole there. So, and then another thing is then because I'm not sure whether everybody will read the policy, and so will we, when teacher administrator set up the appointment, will they explicitly tell people this policy, the 24-hour request policy, or we will just wait and see if they know it and they ask for it. If they don't know it, maybe they come to the meeting and say, oh, may I record the meeting because the father cannot make the meeting today or something at that time. And will we say, oh, sorry, you didn't make this request 24 hours earlier, you cannot do it, or we have to reschedule the meeting or something. And I'm just trying to imagine how that will be implemented.
Well, so the policy, we set the policy, the corporation requests a 24-hour notice prior to the meeting, so both parties can be prepared to record. So it's just a request, is all that it is. Beyond that would be, so an example is that the superintendent or the administrator could go above and beyond that policy and say, hey, we're encouraging you to record. Right? They could make that decision that they're encouraging parents to record, but the policy is at a minimum that we just request advance notice. There's no requirement. If a parent walks in the door and, yep, dad's not here today and we want to record it, there's nothing in our policy that would prohibit them from doing that or would allow the administrator to prohibit them from doing that. So it's really informative text.
Yeah, I wonder how frequently people record those meetings. Like, or is it rare or is quite frequent? Do we happen to know anyone?
I don't know that we have anyone knowing that.
I don't know how frequently, but Dr. Yen, it's possible that we would pause to get additional, our side of recording, and or it's possible that we would say, can we reschedule the meeting? So I do agree that it's just it's to ensure a smooth, positive meeting all the way around and where everyone's prepared. So if you were coming to a meeting and you said, I'm going to record, by the way, because you noticed the policy said that, everyone would be on the same page and feel ready to start the meeting. But I agree with you that, and I think Mrs. Witt shared the same thing, that obviously you can record. It's that we're just all being courteous to one another and expressing upfront that there's going to be a recording.
George?
Dr. Griner, Mrs. Roth, in your time here, has anyone ever requested that we record and then provide a copy of the recording to them?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a principal saying yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
how-
in that case, it's actually a good idea to include that language about time to prepare, because that language, as you've written, it also implies that you need to bring your own recording device.
Okay. Are we ready to go ahead?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, and to also record, the school also record if the parents do, because now with AI, the voice, everything can be manipulated, and just for accountability or liability, and I think it's a good idea. Thanks.
Okay.
And so then the language, as you're aware, would ensure that everybody's ready, and we hit the ground rolling with the meeting and no postponements or anything like that. And I agree with you. That's the whole point, that we all agree that we should record, particularly if the other party is recording, and then we each got the recording and there's no questions.
And we can argue about whose is AI and whose is real. Lawrence?
Yeah, just a quick clarification. So 24-hour, we talk about that, maybe we change that to a school day or something, because, I mean, if you have meeting, say, Monday morning, 24 hours, Sunday morning, so.
Yeah, we could change that language. If you'd like to make a motion, the motion that you would make would be to change the language to replace 24-hour, request 24-hour notice with request school day prior notice.
School days
And
prior.
for me, those things are fairly interchangeable, but that would be clearer in terms of the timing.
So maybe I just have a motion, sub-motion to modify the main motion, replace this 24-hour to, what is
day
in the
prior.
best? School
Day prior.
day.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And is there any discussion on changing that language? No? Okay, let's go ahead and vote on changing that language to replace the 24-hour notice with the school day prior notice. That one passes. Cool, that's how we do that. And then are we ready to go ahead and vote on the whole thing with that edit? Okay, I will hit lots of buttons. There we go.
Which one?
So we're voting to approve 350 as edited. We're replacing 24-hour notice with school day prior notice.
Which
We're using the green.
Oh, I'm sorry, good point. We are using the green language. The current motion is the green language as presented by the policy committee with the edit just made by Lawrence's motion.
And the Indiana, the changes recommended by legal counsel.
Correct. Yeah. Everybody cool? Okay, let me restart that.
The vote. You
Yeah.
reopen it and stop.
There we go. Okay, that one passes. 7. Okay. Cool. What have we got next?
H100, school visitors and parent-family engagement. So this policy is a federal and state requirement. The new language must be added. Policy committee recommendation is to not screw it up. Pass it as presented by legal without modification.
Okay, is there a second? Thank you. LW as presented. Any discussion on that one? UA?
Just a clarification question. I wonder, then does that include board members? If board members want to visit school as a parent, board members allowed to?
I'm sorry. of course, we're allowed to visit the schools as parents.
Yeah. Yeah, just to clarify.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, their board members cannot do some of the things, for example, be a substitute teacher or something. And
Oh, that's because you're getting paid to be a substitute.
I know, but in general, for this, school board members can ask to visit classroom, visit school.
As a volunteer, correct. Any other questions? George?
Yeah, as board members, we're still parents, and we're free to do all the things that parents do. What we're not free to do is be employees in any other capacity.
Okay. Anything else? Daisha?
I don't remember who sent it. I thought someone wanted to change the very last page, use of Alexa to AI, but I don't even remember who sent that request. Okay, do you still
Oh, I
want to,
thought that was as presented. That wasn't in there?
right now it says use of AI. It's the very last bullet point on the very last page.
Oh, okay.
So I just wasn't
It
clear.
was
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, it was your Alexa comment, wasn't it?
Okay, so let's add that real quick. Daisha, are you making that motion?
George can go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. George, to change Alexa to,
Great point.
how did we say that?
It was
Software? Was it?
yeah, software and artificial intelligence tools, just to make it more general.
Okay, and Lawrence, you seconded that? Okay, thank you. All right, and so this is to vote on the Alexa part, to change it to more general, like you can also not use Google Gemini, or Claude. I can't think of any other names. Who's missing?
And me, I was typing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. Okay, that one passes 7-0. And now we'll come back to the whole thing is amended.
Correct.
And if we're good, I'll just go ahead and start. Vote. There we go. All righty.
Okay, up next is H 125, Corporation Support Organizations. So it's a recommendation of the Policy Committee in paragraph 1 to omit the specifics in the second sentence. And that is, and their families through the creation of parental and charitable organizations, striking out such as parent-teacher organization through the end of this sentence. So in that paragraph 1, it would end with, or the policy as we're recommending it, because this is a little bit fuzzy, the school board values organizations striving to support the educational experiences of corporation students. The board endorses the active involvement of students and their families through the creation of parental and charitable organizations, period. It would strike out all of the words after that as not necessary to this. So really that just, it is an intent to be more broad and encompass all possible organizations that would work with the school corporation. So this policy would apply to all of them.
Okay, is there a second? Thanks, Lawrence. Any discussion on this one? Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the vote on H 125 as presented, including the strikeout. There we go. Great. Oop. Okay, next.
H 150, this is about public records. This is a lot of Indiana code-driven policy. We had a conversation about the charging of a fee for time and copies. So this is similar to the costs in our current policy. And in the paragraph procedures for request of public records, we recommend the word administrator be replaced with superintendent's administrative assistants. Otherwise, we are recommending the adoption of the policy as presented by legal counsel.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? Neat. Oh, George needs a second.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, great. I'll go ahead. UA?
So it means if the work to search for the record take more than 5 hours, then the person need to pay, right? And starting from basically $100.
Yeah.
Okay, either no pay or pay 100 or more. And so, yeah, I just want to point out small loophole here. What if people break down the bigger search into smaller ones? How to,
That's possible.
We had that exact conversation, but there doesn't seem to be a good way around that. So we just have to appeal to people's good sense.
oh,
This
you-
this is Indiana code and what we have to do. And Indiana code specifically does allow for those fees in that way. And so we just,
oh, is there any time frame, for example, per year or something? You cannot do that more than 5 hours?
I wish there were.
That'd be better.
That would be better, yeah.
Okay, are we ready to go ahead and vote on this as presented? Cool, cool. Great. One more
Okay,
time.
one you did not see in your packet is H-175 regarding questioning of students. That we did, you'll see in the policy committee notes, we did talk about that. But we had some concerns come up from administrators, and so we are holding on that one, and that is one policy that will be coming up later. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about policies to rescind. So we'll move on to H-225, public comments and concerns. Paragraph 2, we recommend changing his or her to superintendents in the possessive. The remaining language in blue is recommended by the policy committee, except for the last sentence of paragraph 3. We recommend ending the paragraph with declared emergency or local disaster. And then the rest of that text would be eliminated. And then in the second to last paragraph, we would omit the strikeout language, but add an and. It's just grammatical, or add or before personal attacks. So it's just, it's a grammatical change on that one. So I am making a motion that we approve this policy with the blue language, but with those edits that I noted.
Okay, Lauren seconds.
those edits in the document?
They are. And they're in the shared doc if you want to reference them later.
Any discussion on that one, aside from clarifying? No? Okay, neat. I'll go ahead and start it again. This is to approve H-225 as presented with the blue and the green. And there we go. Okay, nicely done. We've got one more for May. And then we're
One
there.
policy and then we're done, right?
Maybe I will bring a cake next month.
Yeah, we're going to go through rescinding policies now, if that's
Sure,
okay.
absolutely. Let's rescind
We're about to
things.
make our website a lot smoother. So it is before we get started on the rescinding of policies, from a philosophical standpoint, there is one change when we rescind that we'll be making, and I just want to make sure that the board is aware of that. Bless you. I want to make sure that the board is aware of that philosophical change and is in agreement with it. So before we vote. So when we are going to rescind policies, what I do is go and look for the meat or the substance of that policy and look for it and find it in the new section so that I can understand and make sure that we're covered. One that I am a little bit, I just want to call to people's attention is policy PO 8400, school safety, and PO 8420, emergency preparedness plans and drills. The philosophical change that happens here between what we are putting in our new policy, or the policy that exists, is that, and we did run this by legal. Dr. Greiner hurried it to legal today, so thank you for that, Dr. Greiner. The old policy recommends the approval, or it says that the superintendent will or the board will recommend the approval and adoption of each school's plan. So the safety plan comes to the board annually right now to be approved. The new language still holds all of that in place among the policies. So safety plan is still developed, it follows the law, it still includes all the people. The only change philosophically between old and new is whether or not the safety plan comes to the board for approval on an annual basis. I'm actually fine with that and not doing that, but I want to call that out to you all so that if anybody here has an objection to that change, they can make a motion and it can come back to policy committee.
George.
I'll go ahead and make that motion to make that change. This is the kind of thing where even if we have experts detailing it, that's not the sort of thing that we want to publicly say, we're not looking at that anymore.
Okay. So your motion is to take it,
Send it back to.
Send it back to the policy committee to add that specific language in there
Okay.
about approving the building emergency plans.
in which policy?
But we'll just have to take it back and figure out where it goes.
Okay, about
It
approving.
doesn't exist in the news, so we'll have to figure it out where.
Where we,
Okay, and is there a second to that?
yeah, I can say.
Okay. Okay. Is there any further discussion about that particular motion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote on that then. Neat, okay. That's
Okay.
7-0.
So the other exception, we don't need to take a vote on this, but I'm going to make a motion that we rescind all policies, all of our old policies from section 5,000. So that includes everything in section, in student section, everything in 6,000s, everything in 7,000s, 8,000s, and 9,000s. So all policies except for one. And that is, we're going to hold off on policy 5540 because that is the policy that would be replaced by 175 that we are on hold on until the next meeting. So the actual motion is rescind everything in old section except for PO 5540.
What about this? I can talk.
Okay, and David seconding that. Okay, go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, so for these policies, 8400 and 8420, so regarding the safety committees and safety plan things, we want to keep that at this point in time? or-
Well, so we typically would get that review in the fall. And so I think that knowing that we're going to go take it back and figure out where to add it in May, I mean,
You think-
technically we could put it, but I think it makes more sense to just go ahead and get rid of it and be down to one, yeah.
Okay, I have no problem with that. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right, so the motion is to rescind all the old policies except for 5540, which is going to be replaced by 175 that we're holding. And I'll start the vote. Ooh, look at us go, all right.
One policy left.
I have a
One policy more.
Question, now
Yes,
that we're
ma'am.
at this stage in the policy committee. ISBA had a training last fall that I attended all day in Indianapolis on AI policies. A lot of school districts have been creating policies, kind of trying to be proactive on how to support them. So there were lots of superintendents who spoke, administrators, school board members, about, a lot of them were forming community committees, trying to decide how to word it, how to handle it. So I was wondering, now that we're at the end of this, is this something that we send to administration? Do we send to the policy committee? How do we move forward in looking at the potential of having an AI policy?
Okay, Rachel?
So I was going to wait until we got to the very last one, but this policy committee has always been the ad hoc policy committee. And it is my recommendation that after the May meeting, that the policy committee be disbanded. And so then it would be formed, and now that we're through the overhaul, any new policy conversations, I think, would come to the full board because we're through the bulk of the work. So
Okay.
I'm trying to fire myself.
All right.
So something like this, what are the next steps? Like,
Well, I would suggest that we ask legal for a sample policy and bring that to us to review.
Okay.
And then we can start from there,
Decide how we
going
want it.
forward as, how we're going to do policies from there.
okay.
Yes, David?
It might be worthwhile also pairing this with some discussion with Dr. Greiner and administrators about how we as a school district are teaching students the appropriate use of AI. I'm thinking along, not necessarily exactly what Purdue's trying to do with building AI competency, but I think that it would be worth some discussions and see their thoughts on things.
Okay, Rachel?
I would agree. I think this is an important part of how we prepare students to be successful in the world. And it's a conversation that needs to be had. I also realize I didn't clarify this, and I should. There are actually 3 things still on policy committee. One of them is potentially the conversation about homeschool
Yes.
students, and then that safety plan question, as well as the student questioning policy. Those are our last 3 homework assignments.
Amazing. Okay, so Dr. Greiner, would you please ask Jesse, thank you. So we'll get that, and hopefully it'll be in May. They may need a little longer to review, so it might come later, but George?
On AI policy, we're also going to have to cover AI usage by faculty and staff as well, not just the students.
Yep. And that's a brave new world. Okay. Are we all through with all of that then? Great. That's, I just want to thank you all again for your diligent and impressively organized work on this project. I am not sure we could have gotten through it without the three of you, and I'm very grateful for all the time.
We've kind of trauma bonded over it. It's been really nice exercise.
I've noticed there's a lot of camaraderie in the
Yeah,
middle there.
yeah, we're doing
All
well.
right. Well, thank you. And that takes us to you, Dr. Griner.
Did we vote to rescind?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
It all rescinded.
Yeah.
Just double check.
You got it. Yep. It was 7-0.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, I want to thank the
Yeah.
policy committee as well as the entire board, because we have worked through this process really well, if you think about it, once we got in the groove. So thank you to the policy committee and the entire board for direction and for your approach to getting through all these policies.
So David had a question here, and I think this would be a great time, if you don't mind, Amy, clarifying how somebody, so like Dacia's brought up AI, David's got another one here. Your recommendation, if I'm understanding it correctly, is that the board member interested in the policy change would recommend that to the board chair and that be placed on policy or on agenda, or what are you thinking?
Well, what I'm thinking is that we've gotten pretty good at emailing each other collectively. And so, for example, if I decided I needed to talk about a policy about brown chairs versus black, I might bring that to the attention of the whole board as an email, and then either we would say, no, we don't need a chair color policy, and here's why, and that would be satisfactory, or we would take it to legal, get their recommendation, and then have it in the board packet for the following month meeting, or possibly a little longer if it's something complex like AI. And that way, all members have an equal opportunity to bring issues forward, and we can continue to deal with them the way we've been. Is that cool?
Okay.
Yeah, I would just like to make a request that you release the wireless communication devices and school policy back to the school board or to the policy committee, so that we can review based off of updated legal languages due to IC 2026-540.7 that just
Right.
came out.
That should come, now that we're through this process, the way it worked with Neola anyway, was that they would send us periodically a packet of policies and say, hey, look, we have things. And we would say, oh, no, so many things. And then we had a standing policy committee that would deal with those things. So I anticipate, since we're in legislative session and things are coming out and getting passed, that we would need to have a standing policy committee once we disband your policy committee. And I would guess if anyone would like to be on the standing policy committee, that would be a good thing to request, and we can make George do it. But yeah, that's how I envision that.
Yes.
So the other thing I would say, though, is that, as David just did, I mean, no legal counsel is perfect. No legal counsel knows us exactly well. And so I would say if any member goes to different training or whatever and says, oh, wait, what are we doing about this one? That it's completely encouraged, from my perspective, to ask that question.
Yeah, and we could certainly ask, along with the other one, if legal has any recommendations based on the new IC
All that.
communication, wireless communication, that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we should probably include that in that email and get the most bang for our email buck. Sound good?
Yes, I can assure you, anything that's Indiana code, they are working on it right now.
It just takes time because they have to do all their magic. Is there a accounts payable report today, or? Yeah, you want? You're still doing your report? Let's go ahead.
I don't have to, though. I do have a lot to say. Okay, so first of all, thank you, Mrs. Austin, for the opportunity to give my report. I'd like to provide an update regarding the request to consider homeschool students as part-time students in the district, as Mrs. Witt had said. We talked about that during policy committee. And we are planning to begin a district review next school year, at the beginning of the school year, focused on the topic of part-time student enrollment. The intent is to engage staff and possibly students early in first semester to gather meaningful input and to examine potential structures, expectations, and the possible impact on our schools and programs. This review will need to consider several key factors, including student accountability measures, such as graduation rate and high-stakes assessments like iLearn, as well as what school funding looks like for a part-time student. We will also need to evaluate how participation in extracurricular and co-curricular activities would be handled for part-time students. And then additionally, I think Mrs. Witt hit on this as well, the board will need to determine whether any resulting expectations are established through board policy or simply included in student handbooks. I researched per the request of the committee that both approaches are permissible under legal counsel guidance, and districts such as TSC and LSC currently utilize handbook-based approaches only rather than policy. From an administrative standpoint, if we move forward with accepting part-time students, we would recommend addressing expectations through student handbooks. We anticipate bringing a recommendation one way or the other to the board by December 2026, allowing sufficient time for implementation planning ahead of the 27-28 school year. We will keep the board informed as we review this process. I also, secondly, would like to give a shout out to our food service director, Mrs. Courtney Fitzsimmons. She's been named the Indiana School Nutrition Association's Director of the Year for 2025-2026. This recognition reflects her outstanding leadership, her dedication, and her commitment to serving our students well, as well as the community. Her work exemplifies the very best of school nutrition and the positive impact it has on student success. She will be formally recognized at the Indiana School Nutrition Association annual conference this November. She's pretty excited. Congratulations, Mrs. Fitzsimmons. We're proud of you, and it is certainly a well-deserved honor. Anyone that's worked with her on her lunch committee knows how serious she takes her work. Finally, our team would like to recognize and thank several individuals announcing retirements. Some of those you approved tonight. Custodians, Mr. Dave Bothell, he was last time, but he asked that we put a pause on any type of discussion, so I'm bringing it up today. Mr. Dave Bothell and on this agenda, Mr. Paul Gray have announced that they will retire at the end of the school year, as well as teacher Mrs. Julie Bowerband. Dave Bothell is a custodian at the elementary school. Paul Gray is lead custodian at the junior senior high school. And Julie Bowerband serves as a teacher at both Willis and the junior senior high school. We're grateful for their years of service in our district and their support to our students and learning in a safe environment. To conclude the superintendent report, Mrs. Roth, would you please report out on accounts payable and funds?
Certainly. Claims for the period of March 5th through April 8th, 2026 total $4,813,730.71. This amount includes both corporation and Wabash Valley Education Center expenses. Salaries and benefits for that same period totaled $3,588,443.40. Both those claims and salary amounts were a little bit higher this period because a third payroll was included in that period. A final fund report is included in the board packets for the month of February 2026. Total funds on hand amounted to $27,239,250.56, with an education fund specific balance of $8,301,692.21. Included in your board packet is the preliminary fund report for March, but please note the month has not yet been completed nor reconciled.
Okay, super. Daisha, we can go ahead and start with you for board reports if you'd like. Okay, UA?
No update.
Okay, David?
Not a lot to update. Things are going swimmingly with Parks and Rec, but I will use my time to, on the record, wish Amy a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Rachel?
We had the ISBA regional meeting, and I'd like to point out that our school board was given the commendable level, which is great. And what that means is the majority of members of the board have exceeded 75 points, so that speaks to our new members. Also, Mrs. Austin and I both were elevated to the exemplary level, which is really not surprising given the number of years I've been on the board, but is really a sustained effort by Mrs. Austin to get that done so quickly. And a big part of that was her pursuing the president's gold program, which she completed, I believe. You did? Yep. And that is a boatload of work. So well done. And then I love the Scarlet and Gray auction, but I am going to defer to Mr. Wong to report on the foundation because he went to the meeting.
Yeah, that's a long report. Wendy sent us a long report, but I just can get that maybe short before. Are you done?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, you need your microphone though.
Yeah, okay. So basically, I joined our school's education foundation, 2 meetings, March and April's. And basically I introduced myself and see pretty much all the board members. And I also share what's going on with our school board. How Sean is there also, yeah. Our board, so our policies, overhaul, and potential referendums, and also answer some questions. Some people wondering how we make policies. I have briefly explained them what procedures we adopt to adopt the policies, so that kind of thing. So we have I have a pretty good conversation with other board members, and I joined their. It's pretty good time for 2 board member meetings. That's very good. And regarding the it's very good. Yeah, thank you. Regarding the Scarlet and Gray dinners and auctions, so I have been in that event, and totally we raised 44.5 thousand net after the cost, and totally 109 persons joined the event.
Wow.
And they also think about next event will be August 2027, so they want to extend a little bit longer time for the fundraising things. And also the Wolf Pride event, I joined their receptions. That's last week, I think. And they also have ceremonies. So total we have 6 honorees for this year. And they also share their with our students. They have ceremony. They share their remarks. And for the Education Foundation, they also have new board members, Saizini Elias. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce that correctly. She's associate professor at Purdue, I think Department of Human Development and Family Science at Purdue. So that's a new board member for the education. And also there's upcoming event for May 18th, there will be scholarship receptions.
Yes.
And for June 5th, that will be nonprofit of the game at the Lafayette Aviators. And September 18th, 2026, that's alumni homecoming tailgate. And next year, 2027, August 14th, that will be next Scarlet and Gray dinner and auctions. So if you want have interest in those events, please mark on your calendar. So 1 year, more than 1 year later.
More than a year notice.
Yeah, so just mark on your calendar so you won't miss that.
Would you please email those to everybody so we can?
Yeah, I will do that. I will do
That'd be
that.
wonderful.
That would be great. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
But- So I just, yeah, I will do that. No problem.
Thank you. That'd be really
Yeah,
helpful,
cool.
because I didn't get
And
them all.
another education foundation is I also joined a public school foundation for Tippecanoe counties. And that's my first first meeting to that committee. And I introduced myself, also talk about our board works. And the board member introduced themselves to me. So I know pretty much everybody. Some of them already know, but also know new peoples. And there's some next event will be spring grand receptions. That will be Wednesday, May 6th, So I will send that out too.
Great.
And also the paper invitation card I put on each bodies.
Yes.
That's the invitation for that. Yeah, thank you. And also they are working on a so-called mini grant for student club. So it's not finalized. So hopefully they can finish that by the beginning of next fall semester. So basically this is specifically for student clubs. If you have a club and then you can apply for their grant. I think right now they budget $300 for the clubs, so for each
Great.
application. So that's that. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. George? You're a busy guy with the legislative stuff.
I always get the fun things.
Yeah.
So as we all know, the State House passed a quote bell-to-bell mobile device ban. That ban does include smartwatches. So anybody that wears a Pebble Watch or an Apple Watch or an Android Watch will have to put those away and secure those somehow. These devices have to be inaccessible during school hours, but it is left to the schools to determine how. I get the feeling there are going to be some intended thresholds in place, but they are leaving it up to us exactly how it's done, whether it's lockable pouches or having people put them in their lockers or having an honor system with people storing it in their backpacks or depositing it in a box at the front of the class. The possibilities are boundless, but they did leave the possibilities to us. On a related note, schools that don't already provide technology devices will start to have to in 2028. BYOD policies are going to be prohibited. And that's not something we worry about because we do issue devices, but other schools are going to have to engage in some creative budgeting to get that done, especially considering the funding deficits that we're all facing. Schools also now have to offer a method for parents to control the internet filters on those school-issued devices. There's a grace period for this until 2027 because not every school internet filter provider has this functionality. I believe ours does. We just haven't turned it on yet. I know TSC's already does, and that's actually where the idea came from. So the idea is that if a kid brings their tablet or their Chromebook home, the parent can log into a separate web page and set what websites the kid can see while they're away from the school building. Another big one that sounds onerous but actually makes a lot of sense. Public schools can no longer sign contracts that contain indemnity clauses or choice of law clauses. Those are otherwise called venue clauses. The logic behind that is, as public schools, we're essentially arms of the state, and anyone doing business with the state agencies, for example, they don't sign those kinds of contracts either. So this is, as onerous as it sounds, it's much more of an alignment to something that should have already been done in practice.
Great, thank you. The RDC meeting was way back months ago, or it feels like it anyway. And at that time, they were installing steel and pouring concrete for the public safety building, and that should have probably wrapped up by now, but I'll find out on Wednesday when I go. And they're exploring plans for the Fire Station 3 expansion and determining if the childcare site will still work. So I'll find out a lot more, and I will have forgotten it all by the time we get back here in May. But that's okay, because progress is progressing. Is there anything else for the good of the order? No? Oh. Okay. UA?
Just may I ask a quick question? So,
Sure. You don't have your, it's not on. Oh, it is? Yeah. Lawrence said he would email those dates. There you go. Now you're working. Okay.
oh, okay. Okay, yeah, so Lawrence shared a bunch of dates from both foundations. I wonder whether instead of sending us the email, whether you can just put those dates on, when you put them on your calendar, include our emails, so it will be show up on our calendar as well.
Yeah, I will just send out email calendar. I mean, that's your own calendar. I don't want to
Change our calendar.
I don't want to change other people's calendar.
Okay.
And also, I think you also have to, regarding the class meeting, you won't be able to.
Yes,
You can go?
No. Nobody said they can.
Did you get anybody?
That's, yeah, no one is
Yeah, I can-
available, but,
If nobody can go, I can.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that'd be
just
great.
Stop by, collect the
Thank you.
information, and I can report back.
thank
in
you.
case.
Yeah, Dr. Griner said he could handle it, but if you're available, that'd be great.
Thank
Okay,
you. That's great.
and I heard a motion to adjourn from
Second.
Rachel, and a second from David, and let's do quick buttons, quick. There we go. And we're adjourned. Thank you all.
So,